A local farmer in Fargo or the Mandan area about High Plains Apache, and one consistent word you'll hear from all of them is local. There's something to be said about being local. Locally owned, locally serviced. High Plains Apache is the dependable company, selling and servicing crop sprayers with the parts you need and having an answer to all your questions. And all this local has a worldwide webpage, highplainsapache.com, highplainsapache.com.
Community-focused, conservative-minded. This is AM 1100 and 92.3 FM, WZFG, Dilworth, Fargo, Moorhead, USA. It's 4 o'clock.
From the WDAY News Center, this is Ty Schonert. It's time for your Flag News Update. People around the valley lined up on Thursday for hot turkey sandwiches with money-raising support for our local agency.
Approximately $25,000 to $28,000 was raised last year, and we already have 2,700 pre-orders, so we are excited and hopeful that we can reach that goal.
United Way of Cass Clay President Carla Easley was among those who gathered at the Hornbachers in South Fargo, while the grocery chain offered the lunches at all their locations around the FM Metro, all for a fundraiser for United Way. $5 was the suggested donation. The United Way says the money raised will be used to help the agency provide a range of programs aimed at addressing homelessness, hunger, and unemployment. MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell is suing leaders of the Department of Justice in an effort to get back his cell phone from authorities. Lindell claims his rights were violated when FBI agents seized the phone in a Mankato Hardee's drive-thru last week. Lindell also wants the judge to stop the government from accessing any data retrieved from the phone and to keep law enforcement from releasing any information found after carrying out their search warrant. Lindell has been outspoken in his effort to push false claims about widespread election fraud in the 2020 election. And North Dakota is experiencing its leaf peeping season. The changing colors can be seen throughout the state through mid-October. The North Dakota Department of Commerce says October 5th through 21st is the peak of the season. Forestry officials say green ash trees should turn first, followed by aspen and cottonwood trees. This is Ty Schoner with The Flag and AM 1100theflag.com. First with the news when you need to know.
With our oil and natural gas resources, North Dakota is making the whole nation stronger. America is more secure and energy independent thanks to North Dakota's oil and natural gas industry. We are less dependent on unfriendly foreign energy sources because of what we are producing right here in our state. It's making America better for generations. North Dakota's oil and natural gas, advancing the possibilities.
U.S. appeals for unity at the UN. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Secretary of State Antony Blinken urging other nations to join the U.S. and send a clear message to Russia to stop making nuclear threats after President Putin vowed to use all means available to defend his territory as the war in Ukraine continues.
Not to ease tensions, but to escalate them through the threat of nuclear weapons. Not to work toward a diplomatic solution, but to render such a solution impossible by seeking to annex more Ukrainian territory through sham referenda.
This during a meeting of the UN Security Council where Russia remains a permanent member with veto power. NATO today joining the condemnation of planned votes tomorrow in Russian-occupied areas of Ukraine. Bermuda expecting a strong glancing blow from Category 4 Hurricane Fiona, while islands hit earlier this week try to recover, including the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico.
We are with you. We're not going to walk away.
President Biden spoke to Puerto Rico's governor from the FEMA office in New York City. The island territory is starting another recovery 5 years after Hurricane Maria ravaged it. The president says many people are already on the island,
including search and rescue teams, bilingual disaster survivor assistance teams, and U.S. Corps power restoration experts.
New York City and state, with among the largest populations of Puerto Ricans away from the island, is sending responders to help.
Fox's Gernal Scott. A new lung cancer drug is rejected by a panel.
FDA advisors voted against recommending poziotinib for treating a rare form of lung cancer. The panel citing concerns about the dosage and efficacy of the experimental drug from Spectrum Pharmaceuticals. Documents released by the FDA this week indicate poziotinib would be the least effective targeted therapy for lung cancer compared to other treatments currently on the market.
Fox's Steve Rappaport. America is listening to Fox News.
Identity theft shows no sign of slowing down. In fact, more than $14 billion stolen last year. That's a criminal success story and a wake-up call. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save 25% on their first year of protection with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. LifeLock.com, promo code BECK.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK.
Partly cloudy to partly sunny across the area for this evening. We'll have wind out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. More clouds will roll in as we head throughout tonight, and that will help insulate temperatures, only dropping down to a low near 50. The wind will start to pick up, though, and it'll gust as high as 35 miles an hour into Friday morning, but gradually lighten up a bit throughout the afternoon, with high temperatures near 60 and a likely chance for some scattered showers through Friday afternoon. From the Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Today's weather is brought to you by Summit Carbon Solutions. The ethanol industry is critical for the North Dakota economy and our farmers. Summit Carbon Solutions is opening new economic opportunities for ethanol producers and helping maintain a strong market for corn growers while generating millions of dollars in new property taxes to help local communities support our schools and hospitals. Visit summitcarbonsolutions.com to learn how this project is driving the future of agriculture in North Dakota.
Live from the PetroServe USA studio, it's the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free.
Here's what I want to know from you today. 18-year-old young man, Cayler Ellingson, dead, ran over and dead due to what is allegedly a political dispute. Shannon Brandt allegedly ran him over, was intoxicated. Again, this is all allegations at this point because, again, innocent until proven guilty. And yet, Shannon Brandt is now walking free after a $50,000 bond. How do you feel about what we know so far, what we've been told so far, the fact that, again, allegedly Shannon Brandt runs over this young 18-year-old man over a political dispute and is now walking free after the judge places the bond? Call into the show. Would love to know your point of view on this. Obviously, a big talker. It's making national news now. A lot of people talking about it. Some big-time Republicans speaking out against it as well. So we're going to share with you some of that conversation. And then there's this thing called the law. So we're going to share that with you as well. Now, if you don't like it, as we know, typically you can change it or you can just be like the Democrats and just avoid it and do what you want. But that's typically not what conservatives and Republicans do. They typically do things a little bit differently. So the number to call into the show to share your point of view on this situation, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. And as always, you can also email the show, studio@chrisbergshow.com. Again, that's studio@chrisbergshow.com. So if you're not familiar with the story, quick debrief. There was an event, a party that took place over the weekend. There was a political dispute allegedly that took place. Young man, 18, sounds like based on the story from the Inform that he was calling his mom saying, "Mom, help, they're coming after me." Shannon Brandt then allegedly goes, takes his car, runs him over, and an 18-year-old young man, now deceased, over a political dispute. You know where people are going after what we saw September 1st from President Joe Biden. I could go there. We talked about this a little bit yesterday with attorney David Chapman. The thing is this, you and I both know how hot the situation is in America. I don't want to add fuel to the fire. So you can make your own, suppositions on what took place on September 1st, how that could potentially have played into this situation. And we want to do is stick to what we know, at least up to this point, and then get to this thing called the law. Again, number to call in, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. So I'm going to share with you some of the tweets that are coming out from some, big name. You're going to know these Republicans and just get your point of view and what they're saying. So Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene put out a tweet that says, hey, a left-wing political terrorist. So now she's calling Shannon Brandt a terrorist. A left-wing political terrorist is walking free after intentionally killing an 18-year-old because he was a Republican, just weeks after Biden declares war on MAGA. Not one J6 defendant, January 6th, not one J6 defendant is charged with murder yet. They are rotting pre-trial in jail, not allowed to post bail. Remember, you and I have got a constitutional right. You and I have a constitutional right for a fair and speedy trial. So some of what she says, they're obviously hyperbole. She doesn't know all the facts, right? She wants to say intentional. We spoke with David Chapman yesterday. We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet, to be fair, right? To try to lower the temperature. Now, she brings up a phenomenal point in regards to what's going on with the people that were part of January 6th. And should I use the word allegedly, even though they are rotting in a prison? Ted Cruz goes on to say leftist murders a teenager because he was a Republican. Then he's promptly released on bail. Twisted, Dems' hateful rhetoric continues to bear toxic fruit. Boy, it's really interesting as you read this stuff. Now, we all know Ted Cruz, incredible legal mind, right? I think he was a clerk for the SCOTUS, for one of the justices. I mean, he gets it. So for Ted Cruz to come out and go, hey, leftist murders, those aren't even the charges, right? Vehicular homicide is what the charge is, I believe. That's not even the charge right now in the case. He's getting that over his skis, going leftist murders a teenager because he was a Republican. So that's Ted Cruz. Donald Trump Jr. even weighing in on this one. You know what? And Chris, if you don't mind, let's share the screen so people can see this as well. But so Donald Trump Jr. puts out Joe Biden's America, ! As he retweets the story about 41-year-old suspected killer Shannon Brandt, who admitted to hitting 18-year-old Cayler Ellingson with his car over the teen's conservative views, was released yesterday on $50,000 bond. Here's what's amazing, and I think this is important, right? We get mixed reviews here on the show in regards to Governor Doug Burgum, but I will say I think he's walking the right line on this one, because if there's anything that you and I, not anything, if it's one of the things that you and I love and appreciate about America, again, we are a constitutional republic. We're not a democracy. Everyone wants to use that word. Tucker Carlson, Joe Biden. We're not a democracy. Democracies were mob rules. We are a constitutional republic. That's important because we are a land of laws. So Governor Doug Burgum put out, tonight we pray for the family of Cayler Ellingson in the aftermath of their tragic and unnecessary loss. Violence is never the answer to disagreements of any kind, including political, and those who perpetrate it must be held accountable. Here's the important piece, to the fullest extent of the law. So he's saying, look, we don't have all the facts yet. The judge is making decisions based on what he knows. We don't have all the facts, and so this person must be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. I think all of us would agree with that. But it's amazing, again, to watch some of the comments as you go through Governor Doug Burgum's Twitter feed, and people are like, hey, explain why a man should be being charged with murder is walking free tonight. And why did it take you so long to acknowledge an 18-year-old being murdered for being a Republican? Would love to know your point of view on this. I mean, it is a very, very heated conversation. Number to call in, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. Jenna Ellis, I don't know if that name rings a bell to you, but legal background, spent a lot of time in and around the Trump administration campaigns. She tweeted out, LOL, look who finally made a weak sauce public statement after severe ratio and public pressure. So a lot of different perspectives there on what happened in this situation. I think the hearing is going to come up in early October. I think that's what the judge is putting out there. So we'll see what transpires there, what the transcripts have to say. And here's what I think is important for us to know. And David Chapman, if you happen to be listening, would love to have you call in and just maybe restate some of the things I'm going to play for our audience to help us all understand there's a rule called Rule 46 here in North Dakota. So keep that in mind. Rule 46 matters in what this judge basically was forced to do. Now, David Chapman's running to be a judge here, a local judge in our area, but the judge is sort of essentially forced because of the law, because of Rule 46, to do this $50,000 personal recognizance bond. Now, maybe he could have made it more. That's a fair, maybe, critique. I'm not a judge. I'm not an attorney, so I don't get into the minutia of all that. But I want to share with you yesterday, David Chapman was on, and he sort of broke this down. We talked about this, and I want to let you hear from him what he had to say in regards to the upset of this Shannon Brandt being released and how the judge's hand was essentially forced because of North Dakota statute.
So we really only have one side of the facts here, and that's the side of the facts of the individual who was driving the truck who ran over Cayler Ellingson. We have some understanding of the facts from phone calls to his mother, from what we understand. But otherwise, it's really not settled in terms of what the facts are here. But the issue is, of course, whether he should have been released pre-trial. And it's an emotional issue. Obviously, you see somebody being released after something this inflammatory, and you wonder exactly why that happens. And in this case, it's the law. And the judge in this case, Judge Hovey, had no choice but to release him on pretrial because of North Dakota's rules, Rule 46 of the state rules of criminal procedure that require release if the person can be assured, if the court can be assured that the person will show up for future proceedings. And in essence, it's just respect for our innocent until proven guilty principles under criminal law, which.
So let that sink in for a moment. I think that's one of the cornerstones of America, again, that you and I have such a love, passion, and appreciation for, is the fact that, look, in America, other than the people from January 6th, and I could create another laundry list of people that are associated with MAGA, but in America, we still have this cornerstone of innocent until proven guilty. And that is one of the things that makes America great. Is that okay for me to say? Make America great? That is one of the things that makes America great. Is that going to be okay? Am I not going to end up having the FBI tap my phone and the NSA and who knows going to show up at my house? Here's more from David Chapman.
We all want applied to us in the same situation.
Right. I think what's hard for people to stomach, and you and I had this conversation earlier, is because I asked you, so what do you see took place here? And you were sort of like, hey, look, we don't know. So everyone, I want to preface this with that, but you were like, he could have been in his car, felt like he was being threatened. He said this person was on the phone, but at the same point in time, he was in his car. It's a young man. So what if he's on his phone? Get in your car, either stay in your car, call the cops, or just drive another direction and get away from this person. Right. I think that's what's hard for people to realize is, look, I'm in my car. There's been no conversations about a weapon from this young man. He's on a phone. Okay, I can either drive away, get away, call the cops, but to choose to run him over and kill him. I mean, it wasn't like you just tried to scare him. I mean, you obviously hit him and killed him. I think people are concerned, hey, could he be a threat to somebody else if he got triggered that bad just from a political conversation? But you're saying doesn't matter according to North Dakota Century Code. Am I understanding you right?
Right. Yes. And there's the personal side of me and there's the legal side of me.
Right.
And the personal side of me was shocked by this as well. And that's why when we were discussing this earlier, I was speculating as to what possible facts could lead a person to feel there was a justification here at self-defense, for instance. And I don't know that those are the facts because I'm not quite familiar with all of the facts at this point in time. So I couldn't speculate on that. But Rule 46 of criminal procedure rules require that a person be released on recognizance or on a personal recognizance bond if the court can be assured that that person will show up for future court proceedings.
So even if there's a potential this person could be a threat to himself or others. So very interesting comment I want to share with you on our live stream. Carrie says this, hey, when will Brandon, we know what that means, when will Brandon and the rest of his administration be held accountable for the words they say? Here's where she goes. This is an interesting analogy. Just like the Trump speech, supposedly he incited violence. They literally say, go out and get violent with Republicans. So tired of the double standards. And look, that's just, I'm with you. That's where the world we live in right now is, this world of double standards. That's why I don't want to turn up the temperature. We easily could sit here and point the finger at Joe Biden's speech September 1st. I told you, we ain't seen nothing yet. We ain't seen nothing yet. And it's September 22nd, the first day of fall. Just wait till we get into October. Things are about to get nuts. All right, I'd love for you to call into the show. Number to do so, 701-271-1100. Or you can email us, studio@chrisbergshow.com. I want to say thank you to Red Wing Shoes for sponsoring our studio email inbox. Now until October 1st, they got the Ultimate Fit event out there over at Red Wing Shoes. You go in, they do a 3D scan of your foot to actually customize the shoe to your feet. We're getting into your calls and much more coming up right after this.
Hi, this is Jake Dahl with On. Your farm and business depends on a reliable source for energy. PetroServe USA is the customer-owned co-op committed to being a stable source of fuel for your equipment and propane to dry your grain. We have the capacity to make sure you never run out of fuel and to keep prices stable. Dependability, competitive prices, and exemplary service. That's PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better. PetroServe USA. Call today.
For it, and it is 10 times better than even the vision that I imagined.
Would you recommend OnSharp to other companies in need of app development?
Oh, 100%. There's a lot of companies out there, but it's really the people that you need to work with that makes or breaks it.
Thank you. Now, we highly encourage everyone to check out the Find Equine app. And if your business is in need of custom app development, you can learn more at onsharp.com/apps.
Hi there, Teresa from the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. I'd like to thank you, the hardworking men and women, for supporting our small business, because we couldn't do it without you. So thank you, each and every one of you, for helping us have this memorable year. It's been our pleasure to help you. If you've never worn Red Wing boots, stop in and see what we're all about at 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo. Red Wing Shoes for ultimate durability.
Ask a local farmer in Fargo or the Mandan area about High Plains Apache, and one consistent word you'll hear from all of them is local. There's something to be said about being local. Locally owned, locally serviced. High Plains Apache is the dependable company, selling and servicing crop sprayers with the parts you need and having an answer to all your questions. And all this local has a worldwide web page, highplainsapache.com, highplainsapache.com.
Have you ever thought about selling your home but quickly talk yourself out of it when you consider all the repairs, cleaning, inspections, open houses, and the unknown of what price your home will actually sell at? Stop stressing. We will buy your home as is with no appraisals or costly commissions to worry about. You can even pick your closing date. Call me, John Nosala with JK Property Partners at 701-306-3229 or go to fargohomevalues.com for an instant valuation.
Busy schedules? Lots to do? Make mow time with the Husqvarna robotic mower. It's like a Roomba for your lawn. It's designed for rough terrains and steep hills. Includes all-wheel drive, Bluetooth cellular, and GPS. It's great for the lake. Midwest Automowers offers the best automowers available. Service and installation included. So all you have to do is sit back and relax. Contact your local Midwest Automower dealers at MidwestAutomowers.com. That's at MidwestAutomowers.com today.
Walk around the world to ease my troubled mind. I left my body lying somewhere in the sands of time. But I watch the world.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. Also, we got a great email yesterday. Also, the Chris Berg Show, the fastest hour in radio. It just whoosh, flies by. The fastest hour in radio right here on the Chris Berg Show. We're talking about the situation. Young man, 18-year-old Cayler Ellingson, ran over and now deceased because of a political dispute. Shannon Brandt is walking free. Many people upset by the fact that he's walking free. Would love to know your point of view. Number to call in, 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. On our live stream here, thanks to Sirius out of Fargo, Marie says North Dakota Republicans are useless. Ruthie says a Democrat killed a Republican and the Republican is dubbed an extremist. Makes no sense. Finally understand how we got into this mess as a country. Republicans are useless in North Dakota. Now, some breaking news here, I believe. Super producer Chris Larson just put this into this thing we have here called Slack. And so I'm assuming that this just came out. We're going to get to your calls here in just a moment. Again, 701-271-1100. But North Dakota Attorney General Drew Wrigley was also put up on Twitter, getting blown up on Twitter. His office has been getting hundreds and hundreds of calls. So this statement says this. I just got this, so I'm reading it with you. North Dakota Attorney General Drew Wrigley today issued the following statement about the violent death of 18-year-old Cayler Ellingson. The loss of a young life is always a tragedy under any circumstances. Outrageously, in this case, it is alleged that the suspect admitted that his actions were motivated by a dispute over political beliefs. There is no place in civil society for this hateful violence. I call on all North Dakotans to join me in praying for Cayler Ellingson and his family and condemning any and all politically motivated crime. I also call on all Americans, including political leaders, to end this type of rhetoric. Political violence has become all too common and must come to an end. As with all crimes in this nature, jurisdiction originates with the independently elected state's attorney. That protocol was followed in this instance as well. As my office has made clear to the Foster County State's Attorney's Office from the earliest hours following this incident, I stand ready to assist with the resources of the North Dakota Attorney General's office, including the use of my assistant attorney generals to help prosecute the case. Our Bureau of Criminal Investigation has been working on this investigation from the beginning and will continue to do so. Let's get to your phone calls. Again, number to call in to share your point of view, 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. Let's, David Chapman, thank you for calling in. More to add to this situation, sir. So again, David Chapman, immigration attorney, joined us yesterday. Please share your point of view some more to clear this thing up.
Yeah, I think in terms of the governor, I think he definitely charted the right course on this in terms of staying away from the pretrial release issue and just, issuing a statement that reflected the feelings of most people. We've lost an 18-year-old in this state. And, at this point, that's, I think, the biggest issue, having lost that young person.
It absolutely is the biggest issue. And when you hear some of the rhetoric, and, I'm going to read this to you again, sir. I mean, Ted Cruz, I think I'm correct, where he was a clerk for a Supreme Court justice, knows the law very, very well. And I'm going to quote it. Ted Cruz, leftist murders a teenager because he was a Republican. Then he's promptly released on bail. Twisted Dems hateful rhetoric continues to bear toxic fruit. Just, one of the things I appreciate about our conversation yesterday is you didn't get over your skis. You're like, look, this is all we know. This is what the judge has been given. Ted Cruz saying murder because he was a Republican. Does he know that information?
I don't think he would know that information. I think what we're seeing there is Ted Cruz, the politician, not Ted Cruz, the lawyer. And I think Ted Cruz, the lawyer, would probably take a far different approach than the political end of him, which is, politics doesn't necessarily follow the law, and statements don't always follow the law when it comes to politics. But I think when it comes to the lawyer in him, I think he'd look at this and analyze the facts in the law, and probably, result would be the same. He'd say, well, North Dakota law says this person's released, and he wouldn't be engaging in that kind of inflammatory rhetoric, just the same as Representative Green. I read some of the stuff that she had tweeted out. And again, I can't comment on it because it's really just political discussion as opposed to legal discussion. They may have a different view if they knew the law.
If you're just joining us, we're talking about the death of young Cayler Ellingson, 18 years old, political dispute. Number to call in, 701-271-1100. David, if you don't mind, can you, and don't get into the wonkiness because you know this stuff so well, but again, Rule 46 basically tells the judge, look, you've got to release this person on bond. So if you can just explain that as like I'm a 5-year-old. But then also, I think many people are upset the fact that Shannon Brandt is walking around. If we wanted to change that, the North Dakotans need to reach out to their legislators and change the statute. Is that a fair assessment on my part?
If they wanted to change something about it, then that would be a policy decision that the legislators would have to make. I wouldn't comment on what kind of policy should be adopted, but yes, if they want to change it, for instance, if they want to make it more like the federal rule, Federal Rule 46 refers to a statute. And it says that is what governs pretrial release. U.S. magistrates will look not only at the ability to get the person to show up for their next court appearance, but also whether or not they are a danger to another person or to the community at large. And they will put in place conditions that will ensure the safety of the community and that the person will show up. And that includes a provision within the statute that says they can actually detain them pre-trial if they can't put conditions in place.
Got it. So Rule 46 essentially pushes the judge's hand to say, hey, look, this is what I got to do, and let him walk free until he comes back for his hearing, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Rule 46 in North Dakota says they must release them on recognizance or in a personal recognizance bond if they know they'll show up.
So even if the judge was sitting there just fuming, going, hey, this is not right, I can't believe I'm doing this, but he's got to follow the letter of the law. Thus, when it says must, he must.
Well, I think you're going to find that most of the judges, were lawyers, and fuming really, I guess, wouldn't describe how someone would feel at the beginning of a case like this. They're following the procedures, and they really would just follow the law.
Man, very, very well said. I was being hyperbolic, and you took me right back. Like, hey, Chris, that's probably not what we would do. So, David, appreciate the insight again, as always, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you want to call into the show, 701-271-1100. Dustin called in. Thank you, Dustin, on his tractor near Lakota. Says, hey, wanted to comment. A 41-year-old versus an 18-year-old. What was this 41-year-old guy's problem? And Dustin, that's what we talked about yesterday with, again, David Chapman on going, if you're 41 years old and if there was any sort of fear for your life at that point, like just drive away, call the cops, right? But don't, sounds like he goes after a guy and ends up obviously killing him. Let's get to the phones here. 701-271-1100. Gary from Fargo, welcome to the show. What's your point of view?
Well, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Well, we know a lot of facts actually about this case. It happened, 2:30 in the morning? Is that correct?
It was late, like early Sunday morning, late Saturday night. Yes.
Yes. So there was some kind of a dance or something going on. So we know that there was booze involved, but we also know that this guy that ran him over was clearly a leftist. I mean, the kid, I shouldn't call him a kid. The young man that got killed, got run over, was run over by some guy who was a leftist extremist. And if it was the other way around, all holy hell would have broke loose by now.
Yes.
And people that are like me, that are just like good citizens, we are tired of this BS. We are tired. That's all I can say. Thank you,
Gary. Very, very well said. And that's where I think many people are at. You look what's going on with the people on January 6th. Again, we've got a right to a fair and speedy trial, and they're sitting, a lot of them, in solitary confinement. And yet, all you've seen is really sort of the right side of the aisle news networks covering this story. And he's exactly right. I mean, if it would have been a young man who was a Trump supporter that ran somebody over who was on the left side of the aisle, we all know what would be going on right now. In fact, we would be swarmed here in North Dakota with national media outlets and then playing clips from Biden on September 1st going, hey, we told you. And this is why I said that day, it was September 2nd. I said, look, whatever you do not, they're baiting you right now. They are baiting you. I get this is a completely antithesis, but they are baiting you to go do something. And we'll get to the bottom of this. I don't want to get into any of the sort of conversations because I don't have all the details. That's the point of the investigation. But a lot of great comments. So thank you for that. Evan says, hey, twisting and turning everything. Marie says, AG's memo not reassuring. The 911 report said the caller stated they had been in a dispute with a Republican extremist. I haven't seen that yet, Marie, because as far as I read, the state, which thank you for the form, they're actually doing an AG's opinion on this. The state has not released the 911 calls, and yet, according to state law, 911 calls are supposed to be open record. So when we come back, we'll have more on this if you want. Also, some interesting stuff later in the show from Senator Kevin Cramer. But coming up next, it's our Williston economic development update. Some really interesting things happening up in Grand Forks and much, much more. Stay with us.
Partly cloudy to partly sunny across the area for this evening. We'll have wind out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour. More clouds will roll in as we head throughout tonight, and that will help insulate temperatures, only dropping down to a low near 50. The wind will start to pick up, though, and it'll gust as high as 35 miles an hour into Friday morning, but gradually lighten up a bit throughout the afternoon, with high temperatures near 60 and a likely chance for some scattered showers through Friday afternoon. From the Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Brian Feuder with the NDSCS Apprenticeship Program.
NDSCS's apprenticeship program is really based on the typical apprenticeship models that have been in existence for many years. But currently there are over 1,000 apprenticeable occupations that are recognized by the United States Department of Labor.
Hi, I'm Dixie Bope. I'm the Director of Nursing at Four Seasons Healthcare Center. I encourage other companies to use the NDSCS apprenticeship program. They have a personal relationship with you. They help you out with advertising. They help bringing in new candidates, interviews, getting the word out.
Hi, my name is Pamela Morrow, Project Specialist for NDSCS Apprenticeship. If you're interested in a program, please reach out today by calling 701-231-6927 or go online to ndscs.edu/workforce-affairs and click on the Apprenticeship North Dakota tab.
See if the NDSCS Apprenticeship Program is for you.
Hi, Gus here from Precision Concrete Cutters Ramjack North. Due to the lack of the moisture in the soil, we've been experiencing more calls regarding foundation movement. Lack of moisture causes soil to contract and pull away from your foundation. If you notice dirt pulling away from your home, you'll need to make sure that you don't have bigger issues. Cracks in your sheetrock or outside walls, sloped floors, sticking doors and windows. Contact us today at 701-280-7038. Precision Concrete Cutters Ramjack North, your complete foundation experts.
Hankinson Renewable Energy is your partner in renewable energy. They produce over 365,000 gallons of ethanol each day and grind more than 130,000 bushels of corn per day. Hankinson Renewable allows the farmer to sell direct to the end user. Call Jeremy at 701-242-9435 or Braden at 701-242-9440 or visit them online or on your mobile device at hankinsonre.com. And be sure to ask them about their on-farm pickup too. Hankinson Renewable Energy is the solution to marketing your corn.
At Butler Machinery, we are all about building long-term relationships founded on trust. Butler's biggest build today is recruiting for many open positions across all locations. Butler Machinery Company is a third-generation family-owned business that offers competitive wages, amazing benefits, and an unmatched 100% company-paid retirement plan. For more information on all open positions, apply today at butlermachinery.com.
Been looking for a golf cart for the lake, cabin, or the course? Largest selection of Club Car Onward golf carts within 150 miles is available at All Season Motorsports. 0% financing. That's 0% financing for up to 48 months on 2022 and 23 Club Car golf carts. All inventory must go. Largest selection of club cars at 0% financing. All Season Motorsports off I-94 and Cheyenne Street, West Fargo. Hurry before they're gone.
Hey, it's Scott Hannon. Our family absolutely loves the full water treatment system we put in our home from Lindsay Echo Water. We live in a flood zone. We have the best ag land in the country. The river floods over, and on that land, the water recedes, and the trace elements of those herbicides go into our water, unless you have a full water treatment system like I do from Lindsay Echo Water Systems. Cooking is way better, too. Same with coffee. Go to lindsayEchoWater.com for details or call 218-233-8655, 218-233-8655.
Said I don't know if I've ever been good enough. I'm a little bit rusty and I think my...
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. Also, the Chris Berg Show, the fastest hour in radio. Whoosh, it just flies by here because you know what they say. Time flies when you're having fun here on the fastest hour in radio. We're coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio. Stick around because coming up later in the show, I'm going to share with you how PetroServe USA is helping you not only just fuel you in America, make us all fuel better, but also save you money. They're going to have a particular station coming up on Saturday. How about this? What if you could go out and fill up the tank at $1.25 a gallon? Can you even remember those days? $1.25 a gallon. I'll tell you coming up later where and when you'll be able to get gas for $1.25 a gallon. Thanks to your local PetroServe USA. All right, it's Thursday. That means it's time for our Williston Economic Development Update from the wonderful city of Williston. Sean Waco joins us. He's the Economic Development Director there, doing really just some incredible things. He's going to be up, and if he's not already, up in Grand Forks tomorrow for the League of the Cities, speaking there. So, Sean, welcome back to the show. It's great to see you, my friend. Christopher, can we get Sean up for us, please? We're going to get there. So,
how about now?
Yes, we got you now, man. So, League of the Cities up in Grand Forks, you're going to be speaking. What's happening up there?
Yeah, League of Cities, it kicked off today. I'm going up tomorrow, and League of Cities is really, it's a great organization where, the cities of North Dakota, they come together and really work towards as a common voice for things, and they learn off of each other of best practices. So you discuss everything at the cities. You talk infrastructure. We're going to talk, I'm speaking tomorrow. I'm talking data centers. Hercules, you had on the show last week. He's talking cryptocurrency. We're also talking housing up there. We're going to talk some legislative issues. And it's just a great thing for city officials and also park board officials that they get together at this League of Cities convention.
So walk us through. I mean, you guys get together, talk about, I'm assuming, what's working, what's not. You're going to be talking about data centers. There's going to be some crypto conversation. So you leave there and come back to Williston and then do what? Like, how does it add value to your constituents in the state of North Dakota?
Well, again, the biggest thing, I think it's a best practices. So one, you're building good relationships when you're getting together and working towards one common goal with all the cities. You really, the biggest thing with League of Cities, and I'm sure we'll talk about the Economic Development Conference, but this fall, these are always fun conferences the fall before a legislative session, because there's going to be a lot of discussion about the upcoming session and what are some of the issues that are affecting the cities or affecting, economic development out there. Again, when you get together, with your counterparts from other cities, it gives you a great opportunity to kind of grow and learn from each other. You come back, you try to put in some of those best practices that you might see from other cities that are out there in the state. But I can't stress enough. I mean, just the importance of everybody working together towards the same voice, especially during the legislative session. It goes a long ways.
Can you walk us through that? Because for many of us that aren't in your shoes, maybe at least I don't fully grasp, like, how do you get all these different cities? By the way, if you're just joining us, it's our Williston Economic Development Update. Executive Director Sean Waco is with us. The League of Cities is in Grand Forks today and tomorrow. And so when you say, hey, we're all going to talk with one voice, the legislative session, because Williston's needs are much different than Fargo's, right? So what is that one voice? What is that goal? And how do you go speak to the legislature? Go, hey, guys, here's what we need to do to make North Dakota great again.
Well, and you're right. Obviously, goals can be different from the eastern part of the state versus the western part of the state. I go back to, again, League of Cities, and we're going to talk about the Economic Development Conference as well. But this is the opportunity to get together and discuss some of those differences, find some common ground where there's positives that each other can work from. And then again, that's what you take to the legislative session. So you show there's ways that you can show support, maybe have some differences, but by having that discussion, you can show some support out there. And that goes a long ways. I'll tell you, on the legislative side of things, if you can show up and you've got support by your peers and you have support as a whole from a large group out there, that speaks volumes and it helps create action over there as far as the session goes. So this is just a great way for all of city leadership to get together and have that discussion.
So share with us, Sean, as you look at Williston, I'm assuming, again, you're talking to a lot of your colleagues across the state, and you're right, We're heading into this session. Who knows what the final numbers are going to be, but there's obviously going to be some new leadership in the House and whatnot. So as you look out into the session, let's say we get into April, end of April, and you're like, okay, this has been a great session for Williston and the state of North Dakota. What has to happen for that to happen?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us when we talk about what's great for us in Western North Dakota, and I'm going to put my economic development hat on here, is really getting the right information out there to understand the value of what the oil and gas industry is doing in Western North Dakota, the value that they're doing for the state as a whole. Okay, and what really means a lot to us in Western North Dakota is making sure that the needs are met with the impact that we're seeing and the dollars that are coming back to Western North Dakota. And sometimes, you know, understandably so, you can see, you know, my counterparts in other parts of the state will disagree. You know, they'll say, well, we have needs as well. But, you know, the big thing we always try to say is that you want to keep, you know, we've got a thoroughbred racehorse out here. You want to make sure that, you know, it's well taken care of and it's able to run. And when it's able to run, it's going to really benefit the entire state. So, you know, when I talk about, that's my message as far as economic development goes, is that we have got one tremendous industry out here that is building things to, you know, it's building wealth that will support the entire state. We've got to make sure that we support it, and we have to make sure that we provide the resources needed, you know, whether it be infrastructure or policy or things like that, as far as a state, to help that continue to grow and continue to move forward.
Man, I love how you break that down. A thoroughbred racehorse industry is so well said. What can we do to just let that thing run at top speed as much as it possibly can? Again, Sean Winko, Williston Economic Development Executive Director there. So you've mentioned this a couple times, but again, for us lay people, walk us through next week, Wednesday, Thursday, the Economic Development Association of North Dakota holds their conference. What are you hoping to walk away with there? It sounds like just getting everybody on the same page for the session, but what else can people expect out of it?
You know, you kind of broke up there a little bit, Chris. Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, just trying to better understand. So like next week, you're going to have a bunch of people in this North Dakota Association for Economic Development at this conference. And so you leave there, and I get the legislative piece. So if you want to add to that, great. But what are some other things that we can anticipate across North Dakota going, hey, this is a good thing because this is what's going to be happening economically here for our state?
So, you know, and again, the big thing with the Economic Development Association of North Dakota, it's all myself and my counterparts that we're part of a membership organization that we work towards a common goal of the best practices in promoting economic development for the state of North Dakota. So when we get into these legislative sessions, I've been serving actually on the board for the last 10 years. I'm coming up on the final year of a 10-year run where I've gone through every chair, was the president the last session, sitting in the past president chair right now. But when we get close to these sessions that are coming up, we sit down, we look at our membership base, we talk about what is important to us as far as economic development policy, what would be coming up with the legislative session that we should be a voice for economic development, whether we support or oppose certain things. We discuss this with our base. We put together a legislative agenda. And then from there, you know, this fall conference, you're going to see that agenda really come together. And then from there, armed with that, it's really the board that takes that, and we continue to lobby for the best practices and efforts of economic development as we get into the legislative session. And Chris, that can be anything, you know, as far as economic development goes.
Let me ask you this, Sean, because I didn't realize you were president. Now I understand why we've got these billion-dollar projects coming in the state, thanks to you. So we appreciate everything you've been doing as pres. But I mean that, like, okay, so it's really incredible what is happening across the state. What can we as North Dakotans do to support you, this organization, to go to Bismarck and to actually make a difference and continue to watch our state just blossom economically?
Well, you know, again, I think the big thing, let's go back and talk workforce. And, you know, as just residents in North Dakota, just continue to sell the state is a great place to be. The quality of life that we have in the state of North Dakota, that makes it more attractive for the businesses. It makes it more attractive for workforce. You know, when we can show that we have the workforce, that helps us a little bit with trying to attract the businesses. I can tell you that, I mean, it really is, it is great to be an economic developer in North Dakota, because you will find a state, you'll find state leadership is very, very pro development when we try to attract this big industry or these big companies into the area. And you look at our climate, you know, whether we talk about, you know, income tax and property tax and stuff, really our tax climate is very low compared to what we see with some of our other states that are out there that we're competing with. So, you know, we're pretty rich to try to attract the businesses here. So again, just going back, my message is to, you know, just people of North Dakota, just continue to sell your state of really what the state is. It's just a great place to be.
Sean Winko, Executive Director, Williston Economic Development. What's the website again, Sean?
WillistonDevelopment.com.
That needs to be a jingle, my friend. WillistonDevelopment.com. WillistonDevelopment.com. Sean Winko, thank you very much, sir.
Hey, good talking to you. Hey, real quick, just as a reminder, we talked last week, this Monday, Eagles 24, Vikings 7. So just wanted to let you know that.
I'll just drop that in there. That was an ugly game for the Vikes, man. Woo! All right, we'll be right back with your phone calls.
Are you suffering from a serious dental issue? Your mouth hurts, or you think your teeth should be whiter, but you don't have insurance? No problem. Right now, Smile Solutions Fargo offers an exclusive membership program just for you that will take away your pain and make your teeth feel and look great. For less than $1 a day, you will receive a comprehensive dental exam and 2 teeth cleanings for a year. And if you are suffering from a more serious dental issue, your Smile Solutions membership will give you 15% off all treatments offered at Smile Solutions, including cosmetic procedures, even teeth whitening. Call now at 701-515-9850. No dental insurance? No problem. Call right now to find out how Smile Solutions Fargo can make your teeth look and feel great for less than $1 a day with our membership program. Call now at 701-515-9850. 9850. Again, 701-515-9850. Call now.
Start your next tiling job with professional quality tech installation products from Menards. We carry all the supplies for surface preparation, mortar, and mastics for any material, along with the grout or caulk color options to match any tile. Tech installation products are easy to use for any DIYer or contractor. Get 11% off tech installation products at Menards. Good through September 25th. Savings are mail and rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Downtown is Fargo's all-in-one neighborhood, from early morning breakfast nooks to after-hours nightcaps and everything in between. Downtown Fargo is energy, arts, and culture. It's our community's town square and market square. This summer, we have brand new downtown Fargo living spaces, fully equipped with smart home technology to make your life easier while you're home and when you can't wait to get back. Treat yourself to a new nest. Visit livedowntownfargo.com and join us for a tour.
Business owners, you know how important a high-quality website is for the success of your business, but how well is your current site performing? This is Jake from OnSharp, and I want to let you know about a new tool we created that will instantly scan your website and give you insight into your site's speed, security, and SEO. Run your company's free scan today at scan.onsharp.com, and you'll get a grade in each area, as well as actionable steps you can take to make your site faster, safer, and more effective. Again, that's scan.onsharp.com.
The University of Mary's Ham School of Engineering, named after Harold Ham, our generous supporter and the pioneer of the Bakken Formation, prepares students for successful careers and fulfilling lives. We offer degrees to support the industry's most pressing needs and designed our curriculum with feedback from the region's most notable firms. The School of Engineering is committed to preparing graduates who are both professionally excellent and community-minded servant leaders. Learn more at umary.edu/engineering.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show. Again, the fastest hour in radio. Whoosh, time flies when you're having fun. That's what's happening right here on the Chris Berg Show, coming live from the PetroServe USA studio, helping you and America fuel better. As you're out driving around, please stop into your local PetroServe USA. So we're talking about the situation with Cayler Ellingson being run over and now deceased, allegedly by Shannon Brandt, and he is walking free after a $50,000 bond. Getting some very interesting points of view on this. Let's get to the phone lines. Again, 701-271-1100. Dennis on line 1, welcome to the show. What's your point of view?
Hey, I listened to your show yesterday, and I really disagree with you. And I heard the guest say today that, I think Tucker knows that this is a constitutional republic, and we all know that it is. That being said, everybody's entitled to bail. That being said, this guy is a total nut job. What's to say he's not going to get in his car and go do this again on bail? Because what happens every time we have a mass shooting, the Christmas parade, somebody comes up and say, hey, we all knew this guy was a nut job. And then you sit there and say that, well, you should be entitled to bail. Make his bail $10 million. And then if he can raise it, then he can be on bail. This guy is a public safety nuisance. He belongs in prison until his trial. And vehicular homicide, that's a joke. He hunted him down.
Dennis, great conversation. I agree with you. We talked about, look, I don't know why the judge picked 50 grand. Maybe it should have been $1 million, 10 million, like you just said. But obviously that's not my decision to make. It's the judge's. But I think you bring up a really good point. That's something I brought up to David Chapman yesterday. I was like, wait a second. So, David, I hear what you're saying, and yet this is a young man, 41-year-old guy in his car. You could have easily just driven away, called the cops, and now we've got a young man that's dead. So I hear you 100%, and that's why we're going to.
Why aren't our politicians? Elections have consequences. I'll tell you that right now. Why? I tried to get a hold of Burgum today because these people need to put pressure. I tried to call the DA there in Foster County. That, of course, I think her phone has been ringing off the hook. But someone needs to. There's no reason they can't revoke that bail. There's no reason they can't. And if any of our congressmen, senators, governors, or whatever, I know they can't do anything about it, but they can put pressure on them to say, hey, let's examine this a little more closely and say, okay, you're a public safety. You can't be out there no more.
Thank you. And maybe I'll replay some of my piece I played with David Chapman from yesterday, because I think you're spot on. That's what I raised to David Chapman. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a judge. I don't fully understand all this stuff. But like you're saying, if they can revoke this and you're suggesting they should raise it, now I don't know how you get a judge to do that but like you said, maybe the AG or somebody can put some pressure on him, get him to change his mind.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it's a great call. Appreciate that. Again, number to call into the show, 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. Marie saying, hey, AG's got a lot of power. So do Republican representatives. So would be curious to know, is there a way? And if so, do you agree that this bond situation should be revoked and that he should be behind bars? That was my initial reaction yesterday talking to David Chapman. I was like, wait a second. Like, I get what you're saying. We may not have all the evidence. We may not have all the information. And yet, he just ran somebody over. And this young man is now deceased because he used his vehicle as a weapon. Which don't even get me started on that, because we all know where that can go. Is how they want to outlaw guns. Now, what are they going to do? Outlaw cars? Getting a text here saying, hey, is this a hate crime? Maybe it could be potentially prosecuted under that. And what's interesting to me, I'm not out at 2:40 in the morning very much, if ever anymore. But the fact that it seems, based on what I've read, that they're having a challenge finding witnesses. Hopefully there's going to be somebody that's going to be able to speak out and say, hey, look, this is what I saw. This is what went down. Because right now, all you have is Shannon Brandt's words, and that's it. And that's it. And, I shouldn't say but you got to presume he's not going to give you the full truth if he's the only one that can tell the story. Teresa says this, well, at least North Dakota has monetary bail. After January 1st, 2023, Illinois will no longer have cash bail, the SAFE T Act. True. And interesting point. What I'm struggling with is what Dennis said. If this guy's willing to go and use his vehicle as a weapon to run somebody over, as far as we know, Mr. Ellison, there was no conversation, no dialogue, no communication that he ever had some sort of firearm, some sort of weapon that would put Shannon Brandt's life in jeopardy. That was the piece that David Chapman brought up yesterday, both on and offline when he and I were talking. But Chris, we don't know all the facts. Shannon Brandt might say, hey, I thought my life was in jeopardy. He was on the phone. He thought he was calling people. But again, then just drive away. Just drive away. Call the cops. But don't use your vehicle as a weapon to drive over this young man. We may have some more information on this yesterday. In fact, super producer Chris Larson, if you would, reach out to Attorney General Drew Wrigley. We'll find out if there is a way to revoke this bond and potentially get this person back behind bars, or at least get a much larger bond. And if he can raise it, then he can raise it. But my guess is Drew Wrigley is going to, hey, look, it's an open investigation. We don't comment on those, but we'll give that a shot anyways. It's a Friday Eve. So thank you so much for joining us here on the fastest hour in radio, the Chris Berg Show. Tomorrow, Feel Good Friday, thanks to Dakota Medical Foundation. and Giving Hearts Day. And, of course, we will bring you the latest on the news. I love you. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4.